This is episode 14 of Give Me a Chance, and it is your host who's speaking, Vittoria. Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Give Me a Chance. Last week I probably jinxed it. I said it was already springtime, but this week is really cold, grayish, and yeah, I shouldn't have said it. Therefore, I want to make up for it, and I wanted to offer you a little story to keep you company while you cozy up inside this week. The story of Wade, our guest for today, is all about following his childhood dream to become a broadcaster on the radio. From South Africa, he moved to England, where he could be a broadcaster on different shows. But during the pandemic, he even got the chance to start his own show. And he moved to Amsterdam and started there AmsterdamLab, his own podcast. Let's now hear more about Wade's story. Hi Wade, welcome to Give Me a Chance. How are things going?
Yeah, very good. Busy starting my empire, building my empire, and enjoying life at the moment. Ever since I started this whole journey of podcasting, it's been a whole roller coaster. Mostly ups, but obviously you get your downs in a company. But it's what doesn't kill you always makes you stronger. So. Yeah, I'm enjoying life at the moment.
How many months have you been working on your podcast already?
So I started AmsterdamLab in October. On the 13th. There's nothing suspicious about that, trust me. Honestly, it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made. Personally, as a individual, but also as a broadcaster. And yeah, I've spoken with and I've spoken to so many funny, interesting, talented people.
But you said that you have been a broadcaster for a longer period of time. So can you give us a little bit of a background about yourself?
I've had this passion for broadcasting since I was 11 or 12. So I'm originally from South Africa. And I've always had an interest of talking to people and hearing what people have got to say, because as humans we always have stuff that we want to say, whether it's controversial, whether it's funny, or just in general if we just want to have a chat with someone. So I've always been interested in that, and that's what drew me to radio. When I was about 15, I started my own radio station back in South Africa.
Did you?
Although only my parents could hear it because it went around the house.
Oh.
But it was still an achievement. I called it Kudu FM. Very unique.
What did you broadcast about?
Well, I used to broadcast about many things. So because obviously I was at school Monday to Friday, so I couldn't broadcast then, so I would do what was called a weekend breakfast show. And the thing is, my parents could never understand how they would always battle to get me out of bed in the morning for school, but yet on the weekends I would wake up like that and go and broadcast my show. And I would wake up at the same time a breakfast DJ would wake up on the weekend. So that would be at 5 o'clock in the morning or some stupid time. They could never understand this. But they also understood how passionate I was about this. Even though it was just me talking to essentially them. So yeah, I did that for about 3 years. And then my parents immigrated to the UK. And basically, yeah, that's when my radio career really started, was from the UK. I worked for various community radio stations. And yeah, my first break was on a campus radio, so university radio station. And yeah, I as you should, I did many outrageous things on the radio. I said so many outrageous things, and inevitably I got fired. It was something that people understood about me was I didn't just want to play music because that's boring. So yeah, since then, I worked on many other different radio stations in the UK, and my last radio gig was working for a station called Insanity Radio. which was a very young, youthful radio station. I had many listeners that listened to me, but inevitably, because of my belief in freedom of speech, and I'm a very strong believer in that, I would sometimes question people, and management didn't like it, and the people I would question didn't like it. So inevitably I got suspended, and I said to my producer, I'm done.
What kind of shows did you want to portray?
To me, a radio show has got to do with honesty, and you've got to be relevant. If you have something interesting to say, people are going to listen.
But do you think that the way you intended radio to be could come out in your later project, so in AmsterdamLab? Because that was for you basically the chance to move away. How did it happen?
So AmsterdamLab, obviously in the beginning, it was all about I'm free. I'm not handcuffed anymore. Like I said, I've interviewed so many inspiring intellectuals, people whom I could only wish to speak with on terrestrial radio. And it's nice when you can actually let them tell the story and you just listen. The whole idea of AmsterdamLab was, to be edgy, to be quirky, and be uncensored, and let people just be who they want to be. And that's what we are true to, and we are prevailing at that. And I'm incredibly proud of the people that we have. Obviously, this year we are going to be working on more shows. So we're going to be introducing more shows. The whole idea and concept about AmsterdamLab is to be groundbreaking. So in other words, always be ahead of everyone else. So by the time someone decides they want to copy what I'm doing, we've already moved on to that. And by the time they've already caught up to us, we've already ahead of them. So it's always about being ahead of everyone else. So being edgy with our content. And that's the great thing about podcasting, is that it allows you to be who you want to be. You don't have to be fake. The audience is taking time to listen to you. Make sure you reward them. Give them what they want. And I've always said this. I said this to Thomas, who does a technology show. Be informative, but also be you.
If we want to link actually your story, Wade, and what you want to express, what you want to bring forward, and so, and if we want to link it even to the topic of this podcast, how was AmsterdamLab for you a chance to change your life?
It was an opportunity and a chance for me just to do what I want to do, but not being told I can't do it, if that makes sense. I've never really been good at obeying the rules. It was just a chance for me to do what I love doing, which is obviously entertaining people, talking with people, but unscripted, unedited, and free. Just free from people telling me that you can do it, but you're not allowed to do it. I don't know how many people I have offended on AmsterdamLab, but the best thing is they haven't told me yet, so I must not be offending them.
But and how do you look back at this period that you went through different stages in your broadcasting life? So you started from scratch when you were in South Africa. You went through when you were a broadcaster in England, and now you're free to make the content you really want to make. That's how do you look back at these years?
With zero regret at all. Honestly, like I said, this has been the best thing I've ever done. yeah, obviously there were some people who, and probably still are, waiting for not just me, but AmsterdamLab to go down. But we won't because of what we are doing. And I've got a great team, a very amazing, talented team that I have.
And if you would actually look at the weight that you were when you were 15, which advice would you give him?
If you want to be on the radio, just never give up. Just continue it. Pursue that dream that you have. Don't give up. As I said, my personality on the radio, I never did it on purpose. It was just because if you listen to radio, all they play is music. So, I never said, oh, I want to be this different person. No, it was just because nobody was used to what I was doing. So, when I was 15, I already knew in my head, this is the program I'm going to have. But yeah, to anybody who wants to do a career in media, be honest and be truthful with your listeners. Don't lie to them, because you're going to get found out sooner or later. And when you do get found out, you're going to look like a fool, you're going to look like a loser. So just be you, be true, and be honest. And never ever take your listeners for granted, because again, you're on the radio. So if you're not interesting, they can turn you off. I've always said to my team that if I have one listener on my podcast, I'm happy, because that one listener appreciates what I do.
Which one is the thing you wouldn't do again if you look back at your past as a broadcaster?
Look, I think, and I actually said this to my producer the other day, because she listened to that to my final radio show that you were listening to.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to her, what did you think? And I said, look, I was probably trying to impress people. I was probably very childish. And she said, yeah, just a little bit, but you did it because you wanted to be different. Whereas now, I don't need to be different, because I'm not competing with anybody else. Probably, yeah, less childish, and just be me instead. But, things worked out for a different cause and for a better cause. So maybe it helped to be childish. Maybe. But yeah.
Many thanks for sharing your story with us. That was really great, and I wish you all the best with your show.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Victoria.
This was Wade's story. Wade left South Africa when he was young, but he still had a dream to become a broadcaster one day. He moved to England, where he could be on various shows, but still he had the feeling he didn't really fit in. That is when he decided to move to Amsterdam during the pandemic so that he could start his show. And AmsterdamLab, the podcast and the show that he started, is really true to his core values. And this is how he now wants to make shows and continue to make content for the people that listen to him. With this, we come to the end of this episode. Have you ever had the chance to change your life, or do you know anybody who has? Please get in touch with us and leave a comment here below. And if you have enjoyed this episode, do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. And see you next time. Give me a chance, on your screen and in your ears.